Alright guys, so here we are, holsters for my DC17 blasters. I'm kind of happy with how they came out, but I'm also kind of not. I'll show you here on the bottom. You can kind of see it. The big oval here, let me get this focused for you here. Right there we got it. So you can see right there. So here's the oval, that was all that was touching the build plate, and all that is support structure that the 3D printer builds, because apparently the bottom of this is not level. So I'm going to have to go in and modify this file to make the bottom level. But I already printed them and it's on the bottom, so I'm still going to use these. I also modified this to get this little hole notch cut out for the pistol. So here's just a 3D print lower that I have of the DC17 blaster, and it sits right in there now. So I had to modify this file a couple of times. I've got files from this creator before, and I've had problems with several of their files in the past. This isn't the first time. And when I've contacted them, their customer support isn't all that great, so I'm just going to go ahead and modify them myself and make them work. But in the meantime, you'll see this is nice and strong and sturdy because I used a 40% infill in here. So this would be strong and durable, and I usually overprint and overbuild my stuff anyways. I know if you go on YouTube and watch a lot of other people and how they print stuff, I've seen people use 3% infill, 5% infill. I mean, I used Cura software, that defaults to 20, so they're moving these things way low for the infill, and I don't like that. I like mine to be stronger. Maybe they like theirs to be lighter. So anyways, we're just going to go ahead and fix all this little goobers that are on the bottom with the Bondo so that you don't see any of the structural support grading that was in there. I'm just going to go fill them with Bondo, we'll sand it, and then when we paint it, it'll all be hidden. And then plus it's going to be on the bottom of the holster, no one's really going to see it. So let's just go ahead and do that here real quick. Alright guys, so you'll see here is my little rocket. This is my wrist rocket that goes on my gauntlet. Again, the bottom of this was messed up, just like the holsters here, and I was able to fix that, and you can see you couldn't tell anything with the bottom of that. The bottom was messed up just like those, just like I was saying, all right there. When I pulled it off the 3D printer, it kind of ripped it, and I just had to, fix it up. With the same process, Bondo putty, some sanding, all that good fun stuff. So pretty much like the holsters, and you can see that turned out really nice. And that's before I started making videos, and when I first got into the 3D printing. You'll see here is a one-piece DC17 lower. I went ahead and worked with the designer for that one. You'll see those all over Etsy and stuff. I have the rights to sell those too, and I probably will here later on. This is the original that I bought before I had my own 3D printer that came in two pieces, and I have a large printer. They can print one solid piece, so I worked with the designer to have it put into one solid piece, and I will probably start selling those here shortly. And I also, like I said, it's really strong and beefy. I do, again on that, like a 40-50% infill. It is significantly heavier than the ones that I bought that probably have a between 5 and 10% infill probably, because it's really light, and this one is really strong and sturdy, and I do it that way on purpose because that's just how I think. So we'll just move that aside, and we will keep working on these holsters, and we'll let that Bondo dry, and then we'll get on to the next step. Alright, so here we go. We're going to start sanding these here. The Bondo is on there and dry, looks pretty good. So we're just going to take our 120 grit sanding sponge here and start sanding that down. Alright, so we'll see, you can still see the lines a little bit right there, but they are filled in and they're smooth now. So we'll just sand it down a little bit and we're just going to hope that the paint covers a bunch of that up. Alright, so you'll see we got some Bondo overflow on this. I'm not going to worry about too much. The paint's going to cover that up. And then on this one, I did this off camera, but you'll see some little black marks in there. I put one of my painted finished DC17 blasters in there, and it rubbed inside there, and it clanks around and makes quite a bit of noise, plastic on plastic. And so it left some marks as it bounced around in there. So what we're going to do is I've got this paint here. We'll grab it here real quick. There it is. It is the Rust-Oleum Leak Seal. So it's the flexible rubber. It's kind of like Flex Seal, bit like Rust-Oleum brand. And it is a rubber coating. So I'm hoping by spraying that rubber coating on both the inside and outside of that holster, that one, it's going to cover up the 3D print lines without having to Bondo the whole thing and prime it. It's going to be a really thick rubberized paint to cover everything up. And then I'm also hoping on the inside here that it's going to give a little bit of protection, since it's rubber, for as the blaster bounces around in there, it won't make a loud plasticky clunky sound. So let's go ahead and get those painted up with that paint and see how it does. Alright, so here they are, and with some editing, here we go. They're done. And you can see the can changed from the Rust-Oleum. I guess they redesigned the can when I had to go buy some more. To finish it. It took a couple of cans to paint those. I think 2. Not that big of a deal. I kept putting coats and coats and coats on so that I wouldn't see any of the 3D print lines. But in the meantime, I did print a full-size solid DC17 blaster. Again, that is a massive amount of infill. That thing is heavy. And I might put those on my Etsy page too eventually. But anyways, so that fits in there. Right, but it still does have some wiggle room here that you'll see, and I don't like that. So it did kind of quiet it down a little bit with the rubberized paint, but it still has a little bit of extra room in there. I'd like it to be a little bit more snug. So in typical maker crafter fashion, whatever you want to call it, I don't throw much of anything away. So here's some scrap foam that I have with a Sharpie and some scissors, and we're going to go ahead and cut and fit this to fit into the holsters, to add a little bit of padding and thicken up the sides so that the blasters fit in there nice and tight and don't rattle around too much. I don't want them rattling around while you're walking. And you can see here how the bottom turned out. The paint did cover it pretty well, I think. Let me see if I can get it focused here a little bit better. You can see little divots in there and stuff. But let's see here. I should be able to get it a little bit better, I think, hopefully. And there it is. So now you can just see a couple little dots from where those hash marks were, and you've got some unevenness and divots to it, which just makes it look like, you know, gritty and battle marks and all that kind of stuff. So I'm pretty happy with it, and I haven't weathered them yet. I haven't decided if I'm going to do that or not, but I probably will. And like I said, on the new file, I've already gone and modified the file and cut the bottom off. So if I ever decide to sell the holsters and the blasters, it's going to be a flat, smooth bottom that you guys are never going to have to worry about fixing. But now we're just going to go ahead and trace out this foam, cut it out, and glue it in. So we got that cut out and put in there. Oh, you can't really see it here. It's not going to focus in there. Let me see if I can grab a flashlight. Put a little bit extra light in there. And there we have it. Now you can see it in there. And I just sort of press fit it in the bottom. I didn't glue that in there. That's just a friction fit down in the bottom. I think it'll be fine. It's not going to go anywhere. And the blaster is going to be sitting on top of it anyways. So let's go ahead, grab my blaster here, and we'll put that in there. And now the barrel hits nice and soft on the bottom. You don't have to worry about hearing that clank when it hits the bottom. And it still rocks a little bit, so we'll add a little bit more padding in there for that to see if we can't keep it from rocking like that. And we'll keep going. So we got this other sheet here, and we'll go ahead and use this sheet to cut and put it in the front. I'm going to line it up right up here on the front so that it keeps it from rocking forward and backwards. So let's see what we can do with that. Alright guys, here it is. All done. The glue's all dried. We got both of our holsters sitting there. So we'll zoom out here real quick and then we'll grab these up. So this is just my solid DC17. I use this to fit it. I'm going to go ahead and stop talking here and play the original audio that's recorded so you can see how much it's jiggling around here, and I think it's not too bad. But it's not that bad. It's right in there. Alright, so we'll go ahead and look here. You can see the foam right there at the top. You guys heard how much noise it made. Jiggling side to side. The top, it doesn't make any real noise, just side to side movement now. So you can see that the foam goes all the way down. With the flashlight there, it's the best light I could get on it. But you do see on the sides here, I don't know if you saw them real quick with the flashlight, I'll light them up here again. On the sides where you heard when it came out and when it jiggles side to side, you can see scrape marks on each side. So this should be really durable rubberized paint. You can see that it goes all the way down. So I'm not too worried about it. It is just caused by these two fins right here on the side of the blaster. And those ones are white because I'm assuming this is the white, or because it's scratched. But either way, when you get the black one, like right here, then it should be not a big deal. It might still leave the smudge marks because it's just scraping on it, but it's actually going to be black instead of white scratching, so maybe it'll get better, maybe it won't. It doesn't really affect it much. You can see I got my other half here that I'm still building. This is my electronic version. This is not a solid one. I do have the playlist of the build for this. I'll attach that at the end of the video. So that'll be my actual finished right there DC17 blaster with holster, and I think it looks pretty good. So we'll put the other one in here, and there we are. One black, one white. Eventually that one will be black because I'll finish the one on the side here. You can see all the pieces, and then I'll have two matching electronic ones. But there you go. DC17 holsters with DC17 blasters in them. Alright guys, here we are at the end of another video. Thanks for watching. Click that subscribe button if you like what you see, and if you want to see more. I will include a link here on the side for the build of the electronic DC17 blasters, and I hope to see you on the next video. Thanks a lot for watching. Bye-bye.